One would wonder why this is coming from the presidential aide, seeing as there's been actually no evidence to support his statement that Obi was calling for a protest. Now, I took my time to make some very short research to take a look at those who have been calling for this protest. And one of them is Omoyele Sowore, of presidential candidate of the AAC, who is even giving dates and times and places and venues where people should converge on August 1st. Bayo Onanuga has not called for his arrest. We also have Arewa youth ambassadors who are also saying there is no going back on this protest, and Bayo Onanuga has not called for their arrest either. We also have Atiku Abubakar, who has said it is high time Nigerians actually hit the street, and Bayo Onanuga did not call for his arrest. One would actually wonder why the seeming obsession with Peter Obi.
Well, for me, I have described Bayo Onanuga as a coward, a very big coward who gets his voice when it's something that concerns the Igbos, because Sheikh Gumi has thrown his support to this protest. Sheikh Gumi did so.
We're actually talking about just Peter Obi himself as an individual, as an opposition candidate, not the region.
No. Bayo Onanuga is a coward who only finds his voice when it concerns the Igbo people.
Not the opposition.
When it concerns the Igbo people, allow me to say my mind. When it concerns the Igbo people, after the 2023 election, when Peter Obi defeated Bola Tinubu in Lagos here, he made a scandalous statement that this is the last time the Igbos will meddle in the politics of Lagos State. That is what Bayo Onanuga said. So he only finds his voice when it's a matter that concerns the Igbos. And what Peter Obi did is a step in the right direction. It's even coming a bit late. He should have done this long time ago. He should have taken Bayo Onanuga, Reno Omokri to court to go and prove all their allegations against him. So for me, it is a step in the right direction, and I want Bayo Onanuga to go to court and substantiate how Peter Obi is behind the proposed unrest.
And that's why I had to ask the question, talking about people who have actually supported this protest, like we would say in Pigeon parlance, with their full chest. Atiku has come out to support Sowore, is actually making serious mobilization, and no one is calling for his arrest. No one is asking for him.
That's why I say Onanuga finds his voice only when Igbo people are in the picture,
and not when it has to do with the opposition, because Sowore himself is also opposition.
Atiku is in the opposition. Atiku is also on the opposition. Sowore is on the opposition.
So you are alleging that the presidential spokesman has traces of bigotry in the way he handles issues. Because we want to try and point out the dangers of this coming from a presidential spokesperson when he says this is the person behind it, is him and his supporters. You could actually see security agencies going after him or his supporters for if this protest happens and it turns violent.
No, he should go to court and prove it, and give court evidences of how Peter Obi and his supporters are behind this. So for me, it is a step in the right direction, and I want him to continue. Whoever mandates his name, he can be making big money from it. He can be, because these guys, all of them are just Bayo Onanuga. I know him as a conveyor of false news. From his newspaper, you don't need
to call his
PM
newspaper. I want to talk about him himself.
PM News. I'm a journalist. I've been a journalist for the last 30 years. I know who is who in the industry. And Bayo Onanuga is one of those that has given this novel profession bad name, because he engages in misinformation and disinformation. And this is what he has carried to the presidency. So what Peter Obi did is the right thing. And and others should also continue to do that. This could be a very good source of revenue for P2B, because what they are saying...
You're asking him to take it as a source of revenue to always take
Sure,
people
sure.
who defame him to court.
Sure. Sure.
All right, then. Let's look at the fact that Wike is saying that this planned protest, that it is purely political and nothing more. He said this while saying that people should actually have patience with the current administration. And President Bola Tinubu himself has come out to say that there is no need to protest, that he has heard the voices of the people. But there's something I want to point out, right? It was the Minister of Information and National Orientation who came out after a meeting with the president to tell journalists that this is what the president said. Should Nigerians be even more angry at the fact that the president has not deemed it fit to address them directly about this protest?
If it's in the other countries, the president will have come out by himself to address the nation. But the APC government, starting with Muhammadu Buhari, doesn't value the people. They didn't get their mandate from the people. So that is why they always scorn the people. They know how their mandate came, that it didn't come from the masses. So they feel that they are not holding power in trust for the people. So that's why, with what is happening everywhere, he still feels that it is his aid that will talk to Nigerians. And for Wike has been rewarded for betraying his party. That's why he is telling Nigerians not to protest. Well, the issue is that hunger is a unifier. Hunger does not know any religion, any language, or any ethnic organization. Everybody is hungry in the country, whether you are in PDP, APC, Labour Party, or even AA. And for me, the worst affected are even those who voted for this government, unquote. That's if people voted at all. People
did vote on that day.
Those who voted for this APC and have their hopes dashed. Understand me? It is them that it will be paying more. Because if you don't vote for him, you didn't give him his mandate. He don't have your mandate. So you should relax and be struggling. But those that it should pay more are those who bought into their propaganda and voted and have their hopes dashed. So for me, I am not calling for any protest.
You do not support the calls for protest?
I am not calling for any protest. But if there must protest, let it be civil. Let there be no breakdown of law and order. Let there be no destruction of lives and properties. But I'm not in support of any protest, because for me, my father told me that just to do good and expect nothing in return. So I'm not expecting anything from this government. So my hope is not dashed.
All right, then. So the police has come out to say that in this planned protest, they will do their job and make sure it doesn't turn violent, and make sure that if there's anyone exhibiting violence, of course, they will arrest the person. Amnesty International has also come out to say it is unlawful to threaten peaceful protesters, people who just want to protest to have a better life. And they're also people with differing opinions on social media, netizens, and a lot of other people saying that these protests, this calls for these protests do not seem to be serious. That if Nigerians are serious about protesting, they will just wake up one day and hit the streets or another form of protest. But that you do not keep making these plans ahead, giving time for security agencies and the Nigerian government to also make their own plans, right? It's looking as if it's not serious. So do you actually see these protests holding for the duration of that 10 days and actually achieving the desired effect?
Nigerians don't have from experience, Nigeria don't have the capacity to sustain the protest beyond 3 days. I'm talking from experience because I've been involved over the years. Nigerians don't have that capacity to sustain protests for over 3 years. But in this era, people mobilize through the social media. The protests in Iran was mobilized through the social media. The protests in Kenya was mobilized through the social media. The protests in Sri Lanka, where they chased their president out of office, was mobilized through the social media. There's no other way you can mobilize except through the social media. So those social media has become the only avenue, the only platform to gather people together, either for good or for bad.
All right, then. While we're still on that, this will be my final question. The United Nations has warned of a potential hijacking of the planned protest against economic hardship in the country. For the UN Department of Safety and Security to come in and warn Nigerians and say these protests may be hijacked, is this actually a sign for people to step back?
No, that is exactly what is going to happen. Because I read of a press conference in Abuja where some people were being given 1,500 to stage a counter protest. So this is what happens in Kenya. Why it was successful was because everybody were on the same page. Because all of them were to be impacted by the hike in tax. Just like in Nigeria, where everybody is going through hardship. But because this is a country with bunch of hypocrites, bunch of sycophants, even those who have not eaten for the past 3 days will come to stage a counter protest. So this is an unfortunate country that we have found ourselves.
An unfortunate country.
An unfortunate country.
Not an unfortunate situation.
An unfortunate country. A country that was programmed from birth not to succeed.
All right, then let's move on from that conversation and talk about the CBN raising interest rates again. This will be for the obtained time, right? The interest rate has been raised to 26.75%. The last time it was raised to 26.25%. Right now, the inflation is heading for, in fact, inflation is literally over 40% at this point. Are you an economist? I want you to explain to us in layman terms what it means for the CBN to raise interest rate and how this will impact the ordinary Nigerian.
Well, it's going to cost more hardship because borrowing is going to be more difficult. Sourcing for fund is going to be more difficult because you are going to borrow at a higher interest rate.
And this affects individuals who want to borrow from commercial banks.
It's going to affect individuals. And you cannot borrow money with anything above 15% and make a profit in that business. You will end up working for the bank because all the profit that you are going to make is going to go in paying back that interest. So raising interest rate is going to cost more hardship to the masses because borrowing is going to become very more difficult. And if you borrow to invest, you cannot make profit once it is above 50. Any money that you borrow that above 15% interest, you can never make profit in that.
But is this actually a good economic decision? If you say that 15% is the highest interest that one should pay, and the CBN is raising the benchmark lending rate to 26.75%, you would think that the CBN governor would actually know better. What
we have seen over the months is that amateurs are handling our CBN. Amateurs are handling our CBN. That's why today, what is the exchange rate? You will see that they are doing policy somersault day in, day out. They don't have any answer to the problem that we are facing in this country. So CBN is part of the problem that we are having in this country.
And is it just because of the interest rates that they keep raising, or starting from the floating of the naira?
Floating of the naira is a mistake. Understand me? Chasing the BDCs is a mistake. So since they started, it's been from one mistake to the other. This is a CBN of trial and error. Nothing has worked since they started. Nothing has worked since this CBN started. So amateurs, incompetent people are handling our CBN at the moment.
What does this portend for the Nigerian economy? As
More hardship. So things are going from bad to worse. With this thing,
this is literally another thing that Nigerians should be concerned about.
They should be concerned about, because what CBN should be doing now is to lower the interest rate so that people can even get money to invest. When you raise the interest rate, you only raise it when there's excess money in the economy. So you want to mop it up. But this is not what they are thinking. It is not what they are thinking. So it's very, very unfortunate.
But when when you make it more difficult for people to borrow, right, can we say at least indebtedness would reduce, or there is literally no advantage to raising the interest rate?
Raising interest rate makes borrowing difficult. Understand? It makes borrowing difficult. And if you are borrowing to invest, that business is going to fall, because you are going to have a more high overhead. And in Nigeria, what of the biggest killer of business is high overhead cost. So if you borrow at 26%, you end up just working for the bank instead of working for yourself.
And again, this is another thing that Nigerians should be very concerned about.
They should be concerned about it, because things are not getting better at all.
Well, then, I have to let you go at this point because of our time, but I must thank you for joining me on the World News at 6 this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and have a good evening. You have been listening to the news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. On the foreign scene, U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Chittle has submitted her resignation. This development comes as investigations into the agency's handling of former President Donald Trump's security are ongoing following a recent incident at a Pennsylvania rally. Lawmakers from both parties have called for her resignation, and some Republican lawmakers have initiated impeachment proceedings. Chittle's testimony before the House Oversight Committee on Monday was met with criticism as she declined to answer several questions posed by the committee. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson described her resignation as overdue, emphasizing the need to move forward. Well, that's it on the World News at 6. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Peter Obi is threatened by Onanuga with a 5 billion naira legal suit over defamation. Tinubu begs Nigerians to shelve planned protest. CBN raises interest rate to 26.75%. And House of Reps call for suspension of NMDPRA bus pending investigations. And the foreign scene, U.S. Secret Service Director resigns over Trump shooting. And that is a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903 FM for coverage of your live events and brand news mentioned in our news bulletins. Do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good evening and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Up next is Life is Good with Cordelia Okwe.